All right, it's been a minute since we've been live. Been crazy, been busy, life is good. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I just shared earlier in the week that we were going out for a big event to Phoenix and how I was traveling with a way ton amount of gear, 350 pounds of gear. I've got the gear here, so let me pull this off. And that's what I wanted to do is I was getting some questions from folks like, what do you really need all that gear for? Let's get this thing done. There we go. Reconnected. Good. So, can I get a thumbs up if you guys could hear me out there? Make sure. I haven't used the AirPods much before, but want to see if we've got good audio coming through. Hope we do. Thanks for joining us or popping in. One thing I do when I do travel, oh, cool. Thank you, is I put an Apple AirTag in every bag. That way I know when it's loaded, I know when it's offloaded, I know where it's at. In fact, I had two bags that got left in the baggage area in the back. And so I had to go up to the baggage guy and say, hey, my bags are here. Can you go and look for them? And they did, and they pulled them out. All right. So my primary gear bag, it's heavy, good for a workout. Think Tank Airport Extreme version 3. So let me bring this over here, see if we could get a good overhead on it. A lot of gear. Yep. But the deal is with this client, is they don't want to be waiting for me to move gear, rearrange the lighting, change things. So we pre-lit and we were positioned for everything. So the day just flowed. This was a 3-day event. So here we go with the camera bag. I'll pop this thing off. And if you have any questions, please put them in the feed. I will be happy to answer them now, live or later. So this baby's packed full. I've got, some residual oil remover to keep the lenses clean. I've got a couple USB power banks. I use these because I did a time lapse of the decor setup using GoPros, and I needed them to run for about 12 hours, and I didn't want the battery just to go out. So I just used the USB power banks with the GoPros for that. All right. I carried most of the batteries with me. These are all camera and some flash batteries, all in these think tank pouches. So those were batteries for the speed lights and the R5 Mark IIs. These are the batteries for the R1 and also the R8. So the reason I use all these camera bodies is the R8 was a backstage remote camera that was set up on an interval timer. And if you were at imaging and saw me do a demo of this, you saw how I use the R8. It's basically the same image sensor as a 1DX Mark III, 24 megapixel image sensor. So it's great in low light, high ISOs, great autofocus, great tracking. So I set that up with an EF 16 to 35 with the RF adapter. That's set on stage on an interval timer to take a picture every few seconds. And then my primary two cameras, because I photograph with two cameras simultaneously, one with a wide zoom and one with a telephoto zoom, is an R5 Mark II is one of my primary cameras. And my secondary primary camera is the R1. The R1, I just love this camera. It fits me ergonomically. I don't have to think about the buttons and where they're at. I just love everything about it. And eventually I'm going to get a second one. So I use the one R5 as my secondary camera. The other R5 was for the green room and seamless portraits and an editorial cover shoot. So this one was dedicated for portraits and things like that. Here is another bag which has a headlamp and the tripod feet for the RF 70 to 200. This lens has been phenomenal. And the main reason I switched from the previous RF 70 to 200 is so that I could use the extenders. So the extenders work flawlessly. There were times when we had speakers at a podium and I didn't want to be photographing looking up at them, so I could stand at the back of the room on a chair or a step ladder, and we have a 400 millimeter lens. Aperture 5.6, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned at all because we have plenty of light and we lit the room in combination with the stage lighting. Connor's asking, what straps do I use to hold the cameras? Well, I love these think tank straps. They're thin, they don't get tangled up. And I use the Peak Design quick releases so I could take them on and off. And also, I put a clutch, a hand clutch on every camera body. I get less hand fatigue with the clutch, right? As I'm getting older, I'm starting to get some arthritis in my hand. And this just alleviates a lot of that pressure, takes the weight off, and it's really comfortable. So those are the straps I use on the cameras. Yeah, upgrading to the newer RF 70 to 200Z so we could use the extenders, both the 2X and the 1.4. The 1.4 basically gives me almost a 300 millimeter, so it's a 280 millimeter lens. So use the 1.4 and the 2X on that camera. And my other primary lens on the secondary camera that I was walking around with, and this is the first big event I've done both with these lenses, is the RF 24 to 105 28Z. Now, I felt at first that I wasn't going to like it because of the size, but the speed at which it focuses in any kind of light on the R8, the R5, the R1, it's just been phenomenal. So I'm really enjoying this lens at a constant 2.8 image stabilization, and it really wasn't that bad to get used to. Now, you do have the ability to get the 70 to 200 in black as well, but for me to quickly know the difference, I'm used to the 70 to 200 being white, so I wanted to keep that white. 24 to 105 at black, so that's fine. So those are packed in there. And then my other lenses that I used throughout the event is the RF 15 to 35. Use that. And for some really cool room shots and big group shots in tight places, we used the RF 10 to 20, all with image stabilization. So this is my primary camera bag that goes on the plane with me. I had a backup laptop. Again, I can't publish an excuse. So I had a backup laptop in here. I had the primary laptop and digital darkroom in my backpack. All right. That's a lot, right? But again, we can't publish an excuse with our clients. We need to get the job done. We moved, Larry Remiker was our second photographer, phenomenal. You know, we have this great yin and yang. When he sees me, we're the opposite side of the room. We're not competing for the same shot. We're doing our best to tell the story and be at the right place, prepared for the moment, not chase the moment. So Larry's a great guy. Shout out to Larry. He helped me get all this gear there and lug it around. So let's dive into the lighting bag. I decided to lighten up these cases a bit by not putting the strobes, meaning the FJ400s, within the production manager or the SKB case. I've replaced the wheels on both of them because they were pushing near 90, 95 pounds with the strobes and the batteries in them. So I wanted to keep them right at around 70 pounds. You know, they don't get tossed around as much. So I used this older airport security, and I'm just going to unlock it because I'm just now unpacking it. So it locks, and it's plenty of padding. Pop the locks. And this is where I kept three of the four FJ400s. There you go. Unpacking it. It's been inspected, right? TSA took a look at it. It's all good. I've got gels in here, an airport tag, business card, copy of my passport, all the identification. I put this extra bit of foam on top just to protect the strobes so nothing happens. So we've got three FJ400s, their batteries. Yes, I still use a light meter, so the Sekonic flash meter, because we were doing portraits on a seamless backdrop for a magazine cover shoot, and then a large group portrait of the client and the village people, 7 people in the shot. So we wanted it properly lit, metered, walk in, shoot, and go. FJ X3M. So I use the transmitter whenever I'm doing portraits like that. I don't need a speed light on the camera itself. And then the FJ82, which again, if you have the Canon cameras, update to the latest firmware. Westcott has been working tremendously hard to get everything dialed in, and it's near as close to Canon ETTL protocol out of any other third-party flash out there. And I'll digress here for a second. The reason I'm not using the Canon speedlights is because they suffer from radio frequency interference. So all these events have people with their cell phones, a bunch of radio frequency wireless devices, lighting, you name it, it's there. And that's wreaking havoc with the Canon speedlight system. They need to do an upgrade and get on their own proprietary channel the way Westcott has. And we didn't have one misfire at all. So that's our strobe bag, and I have two FJ80s, so one in this bag and one in another bag. So we'll set this to the side, and this was checked. The only thing that wasn't checked was the primary camera bag. All right, let's keep this rolling. Don't want to be here all day. Connor, you said, I should update the camera firmware. Yes, definitely update. Huge changes in the firmware. TTL is more accurate. Everything is just dialed in so much better. So here we go. Here's the inside of the Production Manager 40. Again, I got gels. I got a bag tracker, Velcro, zip ties. These little guys are invaluable. It's little cold shoes that we use to mount multiple FJ200s on the triple threat. So we use the FJ200s for our triangle of light. So those go in so we can fit them all on the light stand. So then within here, yeah, I do use grip gloves. So we have everything. In the lid, I've got two Westcott orbs, Apollo orbs. These are great. I carry grids with them if I want to refine the light on location, do portraits. So these are awesome. I use those. So here's our grids, 40-degree grids. So I have two of those since I have two Apollos. And this is basically a lot of our grip gear. So we have all of our chargers, charging cables, FJ400 chargers, the charger for the R1, R5s. All right, here's the, I believe this is my GoPro pouch that we used for time lapse. Yep, GoPro stuff. So that's all for the time lapse. In the center pocket, these are the Mag 2 with the Westcott triple threat. So we mounted two FJ200s on here, one set for Larry and one set for me for our triangle of light in the environment. And later in the week, I'll show you some of our workflow. All right, and I pack them in some paper and stuff because I don't want them to get damaged and crushed. We've got three of those and some packing paper. Here's some batteries. So these, I did bring the Canon EL1s just in case as a backup because you can't publish an excuse. Scotty Stewart. Remember Bob Katalik used to tell us, come back with a good picture, don't come back at all. You can't publish an excuse. So we're backed up and our backups have backups. The tripod, I used the tripod during the portrait session for a magazine cover shoot, and we also shot tethered. So we brought a tether table. We tethered live and worked with an art director. And again, I have remote cameras. So I have a Bogan super clamp that we can mount stuff with. Another super clamp, and we have three platy balls. So we could run up to three remote cameras if need be. So we're prepared for everything. Also, one thing that I've learned to do is bring backup flash tubes because you never know when a strobe is going to blow its flash tube. So I have a flash tube for the FJ400, FJ402, and FJ200. So media gear tripod, ball head, three different light stands in here for our triangle of light, anything we need. Again, cables for pocket wizards to fire remote cameras or remote lights should we encounter any radio frequency interference. We are prepared because the pocket wizards are on 400 megahertz and there's nothing on that highway anymore. There's more chargers, all of our chargers. Here is, see if I get out one hand. This is my EDC toolkit, intake pouch. So yeah, you'd be surprised how often we use this. Not only myself or other vendors, but that's my toolkit. It comes on every job with me. So we are prepared for anything and everything, right? We have to have our own grip gear, so we're set to go for that. Again, pocket wizards, receivers, transmitters, and chargers. All right. Getting out of breath here. Let me see if anybody's got any questions. I'll pop this up here for a second. Gotta get a sip of the beverage. That over there. And then we'll get to the next bag. Yeah, so again, we have backups for our backups. And we lit the green room. We lit the event space. We had to light a seamless in the hallway for a group portrait. We had to do pre-event portraits in their suite. So we pre-lit that. And then we did outdoor location portraits on the property. And we lit that ahead of time. So all we did was flow and photograph. The client and the event never had to slow down to wait for us to set up lights. Coolness. All right. The SKB case, this is SKB with the think tank dividers in it. This thing literally has been all over the world. A couple years ago, this got stuck in Vienna, Austria for 5 weeks. It got stuck in customs. But because we had not only the Apple AirTag, but a Gecko AirTag, we were able to always know its location, where it was at. So when I travel internationally, I use an additional bag tracker. Let me show you that. Because I don't know how many people internationally are going to have an iPhone, right? So we put in a Gecko tracker. This is not dependent on a device, meaning an Apple AirTag, someone with an iPhone has to come within range of your bag to pick it up and send you its location. This is a multi-band device, so it works on its own cellular network. So it goes into sleep mode when it's on the airplane. Somehow it knows. But once it's on the ground, it's always pinging its location. So these are great to have. But this is a subscription base. I think the subscription is about a $90 a year if you're going to be traveling a lot. These are worth it because, again, it's not reliant on another device with someone to come into proximity with it. I talked about declaring media. So yeah, Dawn and I have our media credentials that we provide to the airlines, and we get the media rate for our bags. So an oversized bag like this, we get to check it for a flat fee. It just went up this year. It used to be $50. Now it's $60 up to 100 pounds. Usually they want a media credential and your business card for proof. So now within the SKB case, again, I've learned I'm going to try and keep these at about 70, 75 pounds. They travel better that way. It's easier on everybody, myself included. So let me grab the phone. There we go. Flip the camera around. And here's the interior of the SKB case. We have the FJ4 200s, sorry, three FJ200s. They're in here, and again, I put extra padding because I don't want the flash tube or the screen to be damaged. So we've got three FJ200s. These are for our triangle of light, and I could do another episode showing how we set them up. FJ82, and then five Canon EL1s. Now, I did use two EL1s on camera for cocktail hour because it was right at that pre-sunset time of day. And there is nothing better that works for that fill flash outside, high speed sync, everything than a Canon dedicated flash. So those work great. I have the FJ200 reflectors, grids, gel holder that we could put on there if we need that. I have the FJ200 diffusion domes, which we use for the triangle of light. I've got the FJ400 version 2. That puppy went with us everywhere, performed awesome. These are extra FJ200 batteries. Come on. There we go. Yep. More chargers, tape, documentation that everything's battery safe. The FJ200 tilter brackets, um, light spigots. So what I did for the outside portraits in Arizona is I ganged up two FJ400s and an FJ200, all working in one group to give us a total of 1,000 watts output. Two more light stands and surge protectors for our digital darkroom. Kevin Keith, so how do you get media credentials? You apply for them, right? If you could prove that you are a legitimate photographer who provides work to media, be it a news website, magazine, print, you apply for a media credential. So each city you could go in and apply for a media credential or for a news outlet that you work with regularly. We contributed, like our pictures from this event were published in Touch magazine, People magazine, um, Modern Luxury magazine. So they all went live that night. So that evening, through our digital asset manager, which ended up being myself, we moved, geez, when did we move? We moved about 1,500 finished, edited, retouched images. Incredible. We've got this thing dialed in. So yeah, you have to find out where you could apply for your own local media credentials. All right, last bag. This is a Temba bag. This is our Triangle of Light bag. So this is what we use to light our event space. Yep, I carry a first aid kit. You never know. Cut your finger on, I mean, this SKB case has got some sharp edges on the plastic. I've cut myself various times. So we just carry a first aid kit. Oftentimes more other people end up, we help a lot of other people in production get their cuts and boo-boos taken care of. So we always carry a first aid kit. I have gels, gray card. I have a color swatch that we could actually photograph in the event space and then white balance later for a custom white balance to dial things in if we need to. So we're prepared for that. We have mag spheres and mag gels and more umbrellas, right? So we use them all for various different portraits, different looks. The deep white umbrellas, the parabolic silver and white umbrellas with diffusion to go over them. Mag spheres for the triangle of light and outside during cocktail hour. The Mag XL, which we used on the FJ400s when we were lighting the village people and the client at a step and repeat backdrop. So we didn't have a huge, big footprint with umbrellas to get in the way. So we used the mag spheres. And more diffusion. These are fabulous light stands. Let me put this up on a rack and I'll get them out for you. They're interlocking light stands that are from B&H and they're just great because they could handle the load, meaning we've had three FJ200s on here, no problem at all, right? These bad boys, these are the Impact. These are 10 foot tall, air cushioned light stands that lock in really well. So they're fabulous. Unlock it. We have air cushioned, really solid base. So we could load them up with three strobes on the head and we are good to go, right? Put the triple threat on here. Let me get a triple threat. Got one over here. So we use the triple threat because Each photographer has to have their own set of lights. So while this event only had Larry and myself, there are times where there's three of us working an event and we all need our own set of lights. Let me grab an FJ200 just to show you. So if you're going to gang up multiple lights like this, the normal umbrella tilter won't work, right? How are you going to get multiple umbrella tilters on here? So that's why I use these other cold shoes. I'm getting it out of my bag. And I do provide an inventory bag to Larry and myself via email. I print those out and I put them in each bag so we know what goes where. So these are newer. Usually it's a cold shoe or for a monitor. So I screw them into the bottom of the FJ200, right? So they're in there. And then we have the cold shoe in here. We could put this within the triple threat, tighten down the triple threat, and then tighten down the cold shoe itself. So this is going nowhere. Very secure, right? We could angle this in any direction we want and pop it off. And this way here, use the diffusion domes. Boom. Good, quick and easy. Yes, at times I do use the mag mods on here, but it's a bit of a challenge at times to get the mag rubber band around the head, right? But if I'm going to be somewhere where I need to gel a lot, there isn't a great way to get a CTO gel inside here. You know, I'd have to cut them and fit them in here, and then they touch the tube. So that's kind of when I'll use the mag mods. So whatever works for you. But we can get, you know, three FJ200s on one light stand, and then every photographer gets their own. And we all have to be on our own independent channel, 25, 26, 27, for example, and then nobody has to worry about crosstalk. All right, that's a lot of gear. That's it. If you have any questions, want to know anything, I'm an open book. I'm happy to share. And again, could we have gotten away with just one case of gear, three FJ200s? Sure. But then the client is waiting for us to pick the lights up, move the lights, pick the lights up, move the lights. And this was a big property, so we had to go inside, outside. So it just would have been very inconvenient to have to keep moving these lights, resetting them, dialing in our settings. So I keep a note in my phone and notes that, hey, when we go inside to the venue, we're going to be shooting at 1250 ISO, aperture 4, 125th of a second, on camera flash. When we did use it, we didn't always need it. It was in TTL. Off cameras were all at the two B and C front lights were at an eighth power. The light at the back of the room was just shy of a quarter power, about a sixth power, and it's all set right from either the back of the FJ82 or the FJX3M speed light transmitter. So we could control all of our lights. And again, Westcott has really upped their game with the latest firmware, working great on the R5 Mark II, R1, both in mechanical and electronic first curtain shutter. I have had some success with full electronic shutter, but if you're shooting full electronic shutter in anything above high speed continuous or high speed continuous plus, you get a few frames where the flash, either the camera's firing faster than the flash or it's not registering. In full mechanical, not one issue at all in terms of flash in, flash accuracy. So we get all the groups, high speed sync, rear curtain sync. Everything is really dialed in, working well with both the R5 Mark II and the R1, and of course the R8. Larry shoots with R6 Mark IIs, spot on. Everything was great. So that's something we need. As event photographers, we depend on ETTL for that on-camera flash because we're always moving closer, moving further away, while 99% of the time our off-camera flashes are in manual mode. If you want to see some demos of how we use the XLs on the FJ400s and how we set up the triangle of light with multiple FJ200s, write it in the comments and we'll schedule something and do an actual live lighting demo. All right, thanks for popping in. If you find this of value, give us a thumbs up, share it. I'm going to be putting it on our YouTube page as well. So have a great weekend. Peace. Share the light.